Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local. Back to Google I/O now. A ton of announcements, a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of stuff to be skeptical about. Mike, I'll let you lead off, and we'll see where it takes us.
Quick summary. First 11 minutes were all about local, which you wrote about yesterday, and I really think deserves a deep dive. The rest of the first part and the second part was about their grand vision of this integrated ambient hardware, software computing, which is largely looks like an Apple replay to me of stuff that Apple is already doing, of integrating hardware and software and a lot of hardware. The other surprising thing is a lot of the hardware is vaporware, right? The watch is not till the fall, and the tablet that they're going to make in their name is not till 2023. And who knows when the glasses are, which I think ties in very tightly. To some extent, for them, they are the only company that really can compete with Apple, and yet they have consistently failed to do so on hardware. But I think their local approach gives them a path through that, so that even if they don't succeed on hardware, they can still be successful. And I think the local is the stuff that you covered yesterday that I would love you to summarize here.
Yeah, okay. So just real quickly.
How was that for a good segue?
That was good. All right. So very quickly.
Gunning for your job.
You can have it. We'll switch places.
Just kidding. I'm only good at it once every 3 months. So
all right. So they talked about three things, really two and a half things. Sundar Pichai, this Google CEO, led off with translation, sort of a translation announcement. They're adding more languages, but then they went into immersive view on Google Maps, which is a really interesting combination of Google Street View and Google Earth and aerial images, kind of knit together using computer vision and AI to create a kind of video game-like experience of urban environments, and they're overlaying data on top of that. So, you can. It's kind of, in some ways, it's like the Apple flyover tours of cities, if you're familiar with that, although much more detailed, it seems like. And that immersive view will be available, on any smartphone. It's not a dedicated app. I think it's just it's. I don't remember whether it was through the Google Maps app. I don't think it's a web-based product. I think you'll have to have the Google app or the Google Maps app.
Just an interesting observation of mine about the stitching, particularly interior store stitching.
Yes.
They were able to put together stills to create a virtual experience. And it says, well, what does that mean about the whole project around their 360 virtual tours they've been working on for years and it's never really taken off? And
it means it goes down the toilet.
Right. It means that's much like image tags, right? Nobody's doing it. They're going to have to come up with another way if they want it done. And it really puts photography at the center as opposed to virtual photography at the center of what businesses need to do now and in the future.
Well, do you remember years ago? I could not remember the name of this, and I didn't spend the time to look it up. Microsoft had a product like this in its mapping. It's Street View equivalent, where they were taking. Right. I can't.
Bird's eye view, I think they called it.
Right.
Maybe. Anyway, they were doing similar stitching with static images, and it was pretty cool. But that was years ago, and I think they've walked away from it. The interior tour that they showed in the demo was like a drone's eye view, as though they flew some sort of little drone through a restaurant or a similar environment, and it was pretty interesting. And it suggests that they can just piggyback on any set of images that are uploaded for a space. I guess the question is, which images do they choose? See some of the pieces you've written, Mike, about all the crappy images that people upload. But that's pretty compelling, I think, to have the exterior and the interior stuff that can be done at scale through existing information that they have, data that they have. I don't know how much it's going to be used, but it's very cool.
That's a critical question.
So I was just going to comment that a lot of these announcements, and in particular, the sort of stitched together bird's eye view, whatever, they strike me as like there's this like hive mind thing happening in Silicon Valley right now that, oh, everybody needs an answer to the metaverse. Like what's our metaverse strategy? And this felt to me like, Google's sort of response to whatever that sort of zeitgeist is. And I feel like while technically very impressive and in certain use cases might be interesting, I just don't see it as an everyday type of use case. And it just feels like relative to the things that they could be working on, like what a massive waste of resources, to be honest.
Well, it's like Google Earth, right? Google Earth was a fantastic, impressive thing, and I don't think anybody uses it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think there are
I mean, people use it as sort of a hobby. You might check in on, there's probably
there's
maybe
some very
hundreds of thousands of really hardcore users, and then other people might use it once a
that's
year,
what I'm saying.
right?
The
And it's just
mainstream
like,
use case.
why are you building a product for such a small part of society when you have this massive platform that you could be
right? I mean,
trying to serve?
Mike, you were going to say something.
Well,
go ahead.
One of the things that struck me is that there are verticals like the hotel vertical where virtual tours are absolutely essential. Real estate, absolutely essential. Probably, plastic surgery places, probably pretty helpful. But beyond that, I agree. It's like, who cares what the virtual tour looks like? And it's a small percentage.
Yeah. So I was looking last night. There's a house in my neighborhood that recently sold, and my wife and I had wanted to go into it and just check it out, but it sold very quickly. And so we couldn't do that. So I looked it up on Zillow, and they had an interior tour, and the thing was really fantastic. I have not been, I'm not in the market for a house, and so I haven't been on Zillow very much in the last few years. And it was a street view like experience of the interior, but it was really, really well done. You could walk through every inch of that house and completely manipulate it.
There's a company called Matterport that's been putting those together.
That may well be one of their products, but it was great, and so absolutely useful for people in this kind of situation. But Google Earth is a much more of a nice to have, not must have, fun hobbyist kind of thing.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.